So right now, Sophie, Albert, and I know that I have the idol. But people like Rick and Brandon, Edna, want to find the idol. So we've got to pretend like, look, we found it.
Father, we just thank you, Lord, for keeping us safe. Father, thank you, Lord, that we're going to find this idol, Father God.
You know, this whole prayer thing, for me, it doesn't weigh as heavily on my mind because I'm not the one speaking the prayer. I find Coach to be a little more questionable when he actually is the one saying, you know, dear God, help us find the idol, when he knows he has the idol in his pocket. It gives me a little bit of a nicky feeling.
What we need to do is, we need to just make a quick detour before we go back to camp and grab the idol, come back and just say, this is our day. This is our day.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Get over here, guys.
Take a look.
No way.
Woo! Look at that, baby!
We actually all said a prayer, asked God for help to find the idol, and we just here, we found the idol, not even 5 minutes after we got done praying. Pray together, stay together. Awesome, brother. It's definitely an advantage having the big guy upstairs on your tribe.
Every season of Survivor is a story. There are main characters, sidekicks, comic reliefs, and villains. A good season of Survivor tells a compelling story that has you rooting for someone and against someone else in hopes that it all ends in a satisfying conclusion. Each story that we look at together will go through one character's journey from beginning to end, from the time they're introduced until they inevitably get their torch snuffed or win the game. We will look at every character moment and strategic move to determine whether they were a hero or a villain and whether they were a good or bad strategist. And with that, welcome to Once Upon an Island. Now, for reference, we are only observing what the TV show is showing us and what story is being told through the show. No future seasons will be mentioned, as the story characters here have no idea about what happens in those future seasons. I will be utilizing secret scenes and behind the scenes footage to flesh out the story, and all character moments and strategic moves are interpreted with the mindset of what the story is trying to tell us. And now with that,
39 days, 18 people, 1 survivor.
Survivor is back in Samoa for the first time since Heroes vs. Villains, and yet it is doing everything exactly the same as it did in Season 22 Redemption Island. 2 returnees, Redemption Island itself, no tribe swap, and all the same twists at the same exact time in the game. No surprises here, which means everyone theoretically should already know what to expect. Ozzy and Coach are the 2 returnees, with Coach just having played on Season 20, aka the last time they were in Samoa, so this should be a very familiar location for him. And in between the last season and this season, he did star in a feature film with Daniel DiLorenzo. No joke, it's a wild trip. It's called 180, and I will link my video about that insanity in the description. But first, let's kick off with Coach saying he is here to win.
I've played this game twice. I haven't been successful. This time, I'm trying to control my sense of self-righteousness and judgment on the others. I'm back because this is one more shot for me to prove to everybody that I can own this game and that it can be done with honor and integrity.
We shall see if he really does go with honor and integrity like he states he will. It has always seemed like to me that honor and integrity with Coach in past seasons is based on how he feels above all else. When him and Ozzy meet the new players, Christine immediately calls them both temporary players. Wow. I mean, she learned nothing from Francesca because yes, they all got to see Season 22 before they came out and filmed this one. And we see Coach land on the blue Upolu tribe and Ozzy on the red Savaii. Everyone is happy to see Ozzy, but no one says they're happy to see Coach. Rick says he can't believe a guy in his 40s would call himself a dragon slayer when there are no dragons. It's ridiculous to him. Oh boy, Coach is off to a rough start, which is not helped by him losing reward to Ozzy in a duel. And after that loss, only Edna walks with Coach to camp. He says, yeah, they hate me, except for Edna. She seems cool. Upon arriving at their camp, Coach makes his pitch.
By the way, I don't want you guys to look at me like I'm a threat. I mean, I'm not a strategic player. I'm straight as an arrow. That's always been my downfall. So don't look at me as a threat. I tell you what, I'm sorry I lost the challenge, but what I really liked about it is that I felt like it was a team effort.
Right. I just graduated college like 4 days ago.
What degree?
I was a Russian and economics major.
Cool.
Здравствуйте.
Очень красивая девушка.
Oh, спасибо. I'm a Russian economics major. Coach, здравствуйте, which means like, a pretty formal way to say hello. You know, he's ready to show off what he has, but at the same time, like, you can't deny what the situation is. The coach's been out here twice before. He knows some things.
Not a bad pitch, I might add. Unlike Robin Russell last season, it is true that Coach has never been a strategic threat of any kind. Like Ozzy, he's very emotions-based in my opinion. As his tribe works hard to build up camp, he encourages them and loves that he is with a bunch of hard chargers, unlike Savaii, who we see just lounging around. Edna says Coach is great and keeping him around is a real asset. Nice. Coach is really embracing being the leader here. After all, he is obsessed with being in charge, as we have learned. And in a secret scene, we see Brandon say, I like how loyal Coach is, and I want to go as far as I can with him. So while it seems like most people don't want Coach here, Edna and Brandon do. So that very first night, Coach pulls together an alliance.
If you have a strong 5, you can go so far, even if you're down numbers at the merge. I guarantee you this, you have a strong 5 that have good vibes with each other, trust each other. That's an almost impossible nut to crack in this game.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the 4 people sitting here with me are the 4 people that I've gotten the best vibe from.
I tell you what,
bar none.
I'm in on with him, brother.
Yep.
I agree with him completely.
Yep. So I agree. First day alliances are the most solid. You've seen it time and time again. I think I'm sitting pretty right now, and I sure as hell wasn't at the challenge. I was in a bind, and it's good to see the difference a day makes. But let me tell you something. Coach is here to play this game this time, okay? I'm not going to do anything sneaky or dishonorable, but this is Coach 3.0, and I'm here to win.
We shall see if that holds. It's kind of weird that Edna wasn't there, but usually someone flips in these situations and ruins these strong alliances anyways. They win immunity, and afterwards, Coach is very encouraging to his tribe. He really knows how to butter them up. So that is it for the premiere, and Coach is surprisingly mature and not the goofy guy we saw before. Maybe he could win it all. By the way, did you know that Patreon is free to sign up for? Yes, that is the place where I give updates, post videos early, and have you all pick what I make. Now has a free option. Link in the description, you can cancel anytime, and there's a 15% discount if you do sign up for 1 year. Thank you for your support. Episode 2 sees Coach and Edna connect again, and he decides she will be the number 6 in his alliance. Really? I thought she would be much higher than that. She is all in on Coach, so I'm kind of blown away she's only going to be number 6. But in bigger news, Brandon, the 19-year-old married kid who has a child himself and a logo tattoo on his neck, drops a bomb on Coach.
Lying to Coach was tearing away at everything I believe in. And I'd rather people know me for me. Want to see something cool?
What's that?
It says Lil Hans. I'm Russell Hans's nephew. Just keep that on the DL.
So I take a walk with Brandon, and he tells me that his uncle is my #1 nemesis, Russell Hans. My jaw literally drops. I'm gonna just tell you, man, like, I don't want to be played a fool twice.
Coach, I took a huge leap there, bro. The only reason I did that is because I've made an alliance with you. And that's why I told you. If it bites me in the butt, I still feel good about it because I let you know. Coach played the game with my uncle, gave him his word, and it didn't work out, but I don't plan on stabbing Coach in the back. He's my alliance, and I'm a man of my word.
I've been watching Brandon from the first day because I felt like we had a connection right off the bat. And clearly, he has nothing to gain by telling me that information. So I think that he's true to his word. So it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be Coach Wade duped once again in Survivor, or it's going to be redemption for the Hans family. I hope it's the latter.
Wow, Brandon is Russell Hans's nephew. I mean, this isn't a surprise to audiences. They didn't wait to tell us that. They told us like in the first few seconds of the season. But here, this is a big surprise for Coach. Now, no one knows this in the game besides Coach, but this move by Brandon shows trust because, as Coach says, there is no good strategic reason to tell anybody, especially Coach. We see him and Brandon pray together, which is new for Coach as far as we've seen on Survivor. Sure, he prayed before in Tocantins, but it was all very self-focused and not at all genuine, in my opinion. Their tribe loses immunity, and back at camp, the family alliance decides they will split their votes between Christine and Stacy in case Christine has the idol. Coach says he is so mad that Christine would even dare to go look for the idol, and he has not forgiven her for it. Okay, Coach, cool your jets, dude. Brandon says, I would rather get out Michaela, who is similar to Parvati in his eyes, in that she has screwed many a man. Coach laughs at Parvati screwing many a man and says, that's for sure. Hilarious. At Tribal Council, Christine makes fun of Coach and says he is a temporary player. again. And Coach tries to laugh it off, but you can tell it's eating at him. Remember when he cried last time he played because Sandra said he didn't work very hard? Amazing. That was 10 out of 10 perfection. Christine is a lot meaner than Sandra, so they all vote, and
Second person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Christine. Christine, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 3 sees Stacy and Coach from Upolo go to Redemption and watch the duel between Christine and a Savaii member, and Christine wins. But more importantly is this secret scene between Stacy and Coach.
Mad at me?
No, I'm not mad at you. I'm a little hurt. I'm disappointed because you kind of put me under the bus yesterday.
Christine was public enemy number one, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're not going to get Christine out, then we need to get her first lieutenant out or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's gesture for me to just laugh inside. Like, can a slicker? Come on, a slick ain't a slicker. He put that little smirk face on real good. He put it on real good. But inside, I see it. I just see it in him. Don't know him from a can of loose salt paint, but I can see him. You can smell paint, right? But I can see him. Yep.
Stacy is a gem. I love her this season. Back at camp, Brandon decides to turn a new leaf and be honest with everyone. He says, "It is true, everyone. I have to confess, I'm Russell Hance's nephew." Coach says this was a mistake on Brandon's part, but maybe the bigger mistake is that right after this, and in my opinion, this is a much bigger mistake, Brandon blows up on Michaela publicly. Everyone sees this and reveals she is not in the majority alliance like she thinks. It really makes her feel like trash and has Brandon appearing to be a loose cannon. Not great at all. Coach and Edna then win their tribe immunity, and in episode 4, Christine wins the redemption duel again, but again, Brandon gets way too open and honest as he tells Edna she is number 6 in their alliance. I mean, that's true, but she didn't ask. He just told her of his own free will. Their tribe loses immunity, and back at camp, Coach tries to talk to Stacy.
I don't know where I stand. Do you know where I stand?
That's either you or somebody else.
Or Edna.
I said I can't lie to you if you ask me.
I know. I don't know what she really brings to the table. I never saw your back, but I'm not buying Coach's BS at all. That loyalty game playing stuff, I don't buy that whatsoever.
Stacy is perfect. They should have brought her back to play again by now. Coach is so full of crap though, and she sees right through it. The plan is to vote off Stacy though, so Stacy spreads some rumors that Brandon believes without question, and when Brandon tells Coach about them, Coach says, "Dude, stop it. People who are leaving the game lie. It is basic, you gotta get used to it." So when they vote at Tribal,
Fourth person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Stacy.
Nope.
After all that, they offered you a hug.
It's not real. That wasn't true. Everything was a lie that was said today.
Stacy, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 5 sees Stacy go to Redemption Island and tell Christine how the tribe is disillusioned to think everything is hunky-dory, as she calls it, when it really isn't. She says Coach is a joke who cannot be trusted. Yeah, if Stacy can see through Coach's half-truth charade, as I'll call it, this early on in the game, others will catch on too. Now, unfortunately, Stacy does lose the Redemption Island challenge to Christine. Darn. But before she does that, she tells everyone,
It wasn't a team. It is Benjamin, Albert, and Sophie. But who's the ending to? Benjamin and Albert. The
Benjamin,
team.
Coach.
What's his name? What was his birth name? It wasn't Coach. It was Benjamin, wasn't it? And they're children, 26, 22. They over there listening to all the Benjamins, Halloween jokes, Chucky the Cheese jokes. They want it. He going off for loyalty, got them feet on Benjamin, so loyalty. Come on now. Every day got a story. I wasn't buying it. No. So they trade like yesterday, like the tribal was all cahoots. Benjamin, let's give a hug. Keep that hug. For me, because it wasn't real.
It was bad, dude. Stacy, she said we're all liars.
That's disgusting.
Stacy just went on a rampage about how
Really?
Benjamin is running the tribe.
Who's Benjamin?
You're not coach, you're Benjamin.
Jeff's like, so you refuse to dignify him as coach. She's like, he's Benjamin. His mom named Benjamin. I would call him Benjamin.
If anybody calls me Benjamin to my face, I'm going to go nuts. My parents call me coach. I've been being called coach since I was 18.
Benjamin getting mad that Stacy used his real name is top notch. I love it. I will not be reading any comments on this video unless they call Coach Benjamin. Albert then talks to Benjamin and says, I found the clue to the idol, but I cannot find the idol itself. Thanks, Albert, for the free clue. Benjamin then does his self-serving prayer, followed by himself finding the idol. So I have to ask, earlier, when he was mad that Christine looked for the idol and said, I still haven't forgiven her for it, is he now mad at himself for doing the same thing? Or is he a hypocrite? Will he be able to forgive himself for looking? I think you know the answer to this one. He tells Albert and Sophie about the idol, and we then see their tribe win immunity. Episode 6 has Benjamin riding high off of his idol find. However, he is worried about Brandon finding out that he has the idol, since Brandon will feel lied to because he was lied to. Benjamin says, whatevs, I will deal with that later. That is future Benjamin's problem. We then see in a secret scene how Michaela used 2 spoons of sugar for her coffee. Oh, the audacity, how dare she? And this sets Benjamin off. He is ticked.
I don't want to see pork today. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to even go near it.
I'm thinking about taking some of that fat from that jar and putting it over the fire. So cute.
You just want to eat lard?
I just want to get a couple of pieces of fat in my belly. It smells right.
Did you eat that?
And there's a little bit of bile coming up into my throat.
You are such an ass.
I ate pure pig fat. Maybe that was insensitive of me, but I don't care. Michaela's weak right now. She's sick. You know, I mean, and besides, she's going home next.
That's the immature Coach we've been missing from past seasons. Brandon then finds the clue to the idol and Coach goes, oh crap, I gotta play dumb. Which he does, and he lies to Brandon's face multiple times. Albert tells Coach that we gotta keep this a secret from Brandon or he might fly off the handle. We then see Brandon ask again, like multiple times, if anyone has the idol, and Coach uses a half-truth and says, I wouldn't think so. All game Coach will be skirting answering any hard questions by not really answering them like that. Christine then wins yet another Redemption Island duel. And since we saw Christine flip off the Upolu members at the challenge, oh my gosh, I think it's safe to say she will not be aligning with them come the merge. But I think now is a good time to get back to Edna. Remember, she was told she's number 6 in the alliance. So in response to that, for the past couple episodes, she's just been sucking up hard to Coach. Yeah, that's all she's been doing.
Ever since Brandon told me I wasn't really part of the Alliance of 6, I knew that I definitely have to do something. So I've been cozying up next to Coach because I just want to make sure that Coach knows that I haven't wavered in my relationship with him, and I think it's working.
Well, we're definitely vibing. Like, I really like Edna. She's the one person out here that I think would lay her survivor life down for me. I told you I'd have your back. So Michaela's the next to go. You're safe.
Appreciate it.
We're in a great spot. I'll just tell you that right now, champ.
Yep. I'm not worried at all.
Good. Are you ready for anything in this game?
Of course.
You ready to follow me into battle?
Yes. Even if it gets ugly.
Edna is someone Coach should keep until the very end, no doubt. She's a keeper. Their tribe loses immunity, and Coach blames us on Michaela for missing her shots and not listening to Coach. That is what the story wants us to believe is the truth. However, if you go back and watch the tape and ignore what Coach says, you will see that Albert is the only Upolu member to score any points at all, as Coach and Michaela, both of them, miss everything they shoot at. Ah, the hypocrisy. But the story wants you to believe that Coach is correct, so we have to roll with that. At Tribal Council, Coach says, I told Michaela to stop shooting and she didn't listen. Again, that's untrue. Michaela's confused and I'm confused, because if you go back to the tape, what Coach actually said is that, hey Michaela, how about taking a break? And she says, no, I'm okay. That's it. Coach again crafts the narrative to make himself look righteous, even though he is wrong. Coach then explains how tonight's vote is all about honor, integrity, and loyalty.
The problem is there's a point of being too honest, and you have to remember that there are some cards that need to be revealed and some cards that you keep hidden for a time, but it doesn't mean that you're being disloyal or dishonest.
You know, it's funny because nowadays people get the misconception that we can tell a half lie or tell a little bit of a lie. Oh, it's just a game. Oh, it's just a cigarette. Oh, it's just a little bit of marijuana. Oh, it's just a little bit, that's lasciviousness, because there's no gray. It's black or white, period.
Sixth person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Michaela. Michaela, the tribe has spoken.
Back at camp, people are worried about Brandon having further outbursts, namely come the merge, that could potentially ruin their games. Coach says, I will get him under control, and he does this by praying with Brandon in a way that just feels slimy, and that may be why it was in a secret scene. Coach is using God for strategy, and it's just so blech. We then see some Coach Chi while he prays, which just feels like it did in Tokujeans, inauthentic, and that is when he decides it is high time to stage an idol find.
So right now, Sophie, Albert, and I know that I have the idol. But people like Rick and Brandon, Edna, want to find the idol. So we've got to pretend like, look, we found it.
Father, we just thank you, Lord, for keeping us safe. Father, thank you, Lord, that we're going to find this idol, Father God.
This whole prayer thing, for me, it doesn't weigh as heavily on my mind because I'm not the one speaking the prayer. I find Coach to be a little more questionable when he actually is the one saying, dear God, help us find the idol, when he knows he has the idol in his pocket. It gives me a little bit of an icky feeling.
What we need to do is we need to just make a quick detour before we go back to camp and grab the idol, come back and just say, this is our day. This is our day.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Get over here, guys.
Take a look.
No way. Woo! Look at that, baby!
We actually all said a prayer, asked God for help to find the idol, and we just here, we found the idol, not even 5 minutes after we got done praying. Pray together, stay together. Awesome, brother. It's definitely an advantage having the big guy upstairs on your tribe.
Wow. The absolute religious manipulation by Coach is straight out of the Cult Leader Handbook and not at all how the Bible says a Christian should live. I want to be very clear about that. This is not at all how the Bible says a Christian should live. It is so gross to watch. Everyone then paints themselves up for the reward challenge, which is to watch the infamous Adam Sandler movie, Jack and Jill, a real trash fire of a film. His tribe wins, and when they do, he forces them all to kneel and pray. Again, it's just like, it's so, I mean, this is right after the idol find scene, and it is hard to watch. But don't worry, Coach is a returning player, so he already knows when they go on reward that he has to talk up the Jack and Jill movie for the show as if it were an 11-time Oscar-winning film. We move on to episode 8 where Ozzy's on redemption. What the heck?
I gave pretty much everything to my tribe, and then we lose one challenge because somebody can't operate a clip, and that ends up being the person that sends me here. You play the idol, you don't even... I know someone else probably knew that you had it. As far as I'm concerned, tribe boundaries, I mean, if we're at the merge, they don't exist anymore. It's all one for one, and whoever sticks together from this point on makes it farthest in the game. But I thrive under the pressure to come back in the game for revenge, basically.
Coach and Albert saw right through that bad acting, and good for them. Ozzy beats Christine to re-enter the game, and the tribes are tied up 6-6. We see in a secret scene, Cochran telling Coach that he feels like an outsider on his tribe, and this causes Coach to go, we either have a double agent or someone who might actually flip to my side. Either way, I gotta take my shot.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you right now, our tribe has a budget. And I feel like you guys are trying to play us, okay? You guys came up with a story. You guys sent Ozzy to redemption. You got an idol in your pocket. Okay. And knowing that Ozzy would win redemption. It was a risk, but you knew that Ozzy would win redemption. Right. Okay? Okay. If all 6 of us vote together, there's a 1 in 5 chance that you're going to be drawing a black rock. And so will I. And that's a way to play the game. There's a line in the sand. Come across that line.
All in all, what I took away from Coach is that he's an incredibly intelligent guy. I mean, I've watched him, always viewed him as this eccentric dragon slayer who talks about wizards and, King Arthur. But he's a smart guy, and Coach laid it all on the table for me, saying I could make us draw rocks the next tribal council, or, and what I'm maybe most seriously considering, I could completely jump ship, betray my old tribe, and join a polis.
Wow, that has to be some of the best strategy I've ever seen Coach do. He read everything like a book, and I want to tell you something crazy, dear viewer. It worked. Oh yeah, it worked. Cochran is now spilling all the beans. We see Coach further connect with Cochran in a secret scene over Greek mythology where he compares every Savaii member to someone negative, and Cochran is someone great, of course, because Coach is just buttering Cochran up, stroking his ego, and let me tell you, Cochran has an ego, so it's working. I can't even knock Coach for it. It's brilliant. Cochran then reveals what was all but confirmed before. Ozzy was clearly voted off on purpose to knock out Christine. Yeah, that adds up, but let's be clear, Christine wasn't going to align with Apollo, so either way, it didn't really matter. We then see Dawn and Ozzy win immunity, and I have to say, the numbers are heavily in Savai's favor. Now, what does anyone think about anything this episode? Well, if your name isn't Coach, Ozzy, Cochran, or Dawn of all people, then the show does not care. This story for this episode is all about those 4 people for now. Cochran is worried that his flip could cause Savai to physically hurt him, and Coach says you can sleep next to me tonight, and I want to let you know that by flipping on Savai, you are the nerd beating up the bully. Wow, Coach is working over Cochran perfectly. We then see Coach and Ozzy talk, and
I wanted to play this game so bad with you, man.
Yeah, and I mean, you still have an opportunity to come with us, and I would guarantee you, coming to the end with me, I'd tribe over.
This could possibly secure the top 6. We have the numbers on our side. And I hope Coach sees the writing on the wall. I will basically guarantee Coach the final 2. Not really, but of course, that's what I have to tell him.
Dude, was I born yesterday? Absolutely, Ozzy. Let's play this game together and let me just vote off my tribe. Nietzsche once said that when you have more arrogance, you have less wisdom. I really appreciate you talking to me. Especially since you hold it. I don't ever want to say Coach is in control, but I really think I'm in control. And this game, the weak will become the strong.
Ozzy is a bad liar. Now, here's the deal. Coach has that idol, remember? He is not playing it tonight. Why? I'm unsure, actually. We don't really get a good answer, but he ain't doing it. So in the case of a tie, we get a rock draw. Savai will have 2 people draw rocks, whereas Upolo will have 5 if the numbers are tied. The numbers are not in their favor though on that rock draw. They need Cochran to flip. So they all go to vote, and
if anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
I'll play it. Might as well. Now's the time. It's for Whitney.
This is a hidden immunity idol. Any votes cast for Whitney will not count. First vote. Keith. Rick. Keith. Rick. Keith. 3 for Rick. 4 votes, Keith. Cowboy. Rick. That's 5 votes, Keith. Rick. That's 5 votes, Rick. Keith. 6 votes, Keith. Rick. We are tied. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to re-vote. You can only vote for Keith or Rick. Keith and Rick, you will not vote. If anybody is thinking about changing their vote, this is your last chance. First vote. Keith. Rick. Keith. 2 votes, Keith. Rick. 2 votes, Rick. That's 3 votes, Keith. Rick. 3 votes, Rick. Keith. 4 votes, Keith. 4 votes, Rick. Keith. 5 votes, Keith. 8th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Keith, need to bring me your torch.
Coward.
Keith, the tribe has spoken.
Coward. Don't talk to him like that. That's what you get. Stay close to me.
Cochran flipped. Perfect. Coach says, we got this in the bag. If the family alliance holds strong, we are guaranteed final 5. We then see Jim win immunity, and of course that means Ozzy will be voted off next. Ozzy says, why not go to the end with the best and keep me? We all know the answer, Ozzy. We all know the answer. At Tribal Council, Jim says, if we are really gonna be honorable, then let's vote off the guy who flipped on their alliance in Cochran. Coach says I cannot do that. Yeah, because Coach's honor is subjective, not objective. So they all vote, and
first vote, Ozzy. Ozzy. 2 votes, Ozzy. Ozzy. 3 votes, Ozzy. Cochran. Cochran. Ozzy. That's 4 votes, Ozzy. 2 votes, Cochran. Ozzy, that's 5 votes Ozzy. 9th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Ozzy, that's 6, that's enough.
You guys fell for my master plan.
Ozzy, once again, tribe has spoken.
Like last season, I think we're about to witness a steamroll. A 7-3 advantage is pretty huge for Upolu. Savai is done. At the immunity challenge, Jeff says if you sit out, you can eat. So all of Upolu sits out, plus Cochran, and it looks so cocky. The Upolu tribe is now painted as the villain by the edit. But I must add that Coach really wants to compete in this challenge. He really does.
I gotta pick up on the obvious. Everybody is celebrating except Coach. You look like you just got the worst news of your life.
I want to compete today.
Well, compete.
You know, the thing is though, we are a family and we stick together and we're unified in our stance.
There are 3 people left from a tribe fighting for security tonight. While the other 7 enjoy the rewards of being the tribe that is right now the dominant one. Coach, still wishing you were participating in the challenge? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Ah, the hypocrisy. Whitney then wins immunity, not that it matters, and Jim says Cochran is playing a brilliant 3rd place game in Jim's mind because Jim just sees Cochran as a goat who cannot win because all of Savai is not going to vote for him to win. That's good to know. At Tribal Council, Whitney cries because she says Upolu is bullying her by treating her like the enemy, and she says, I know I'm not the enemy, I'm a good person. Speaking of which, Whitney is cheating on her husband this season with Keith, but the show kind of glosses over that one. So they all vote, and
10th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Jim. Jim, tribe has spoken.
That is a cult unlike I've ever seen before. And the longer that Coach has them believing that they're all one tribe, more likely it is that he wins the $1 million.
Coach is running the show like he's Jesus. All of them think that they're gonna go to the end. Obviously 7 can't go to the end. And it's so frustrating. I kind of want to laugh at him and be like, y'all are so smart. Cochran went to Harvard. Sophie's going into med school. I don't understand how these smart people can be so stupid.
Despite it being part of the title of Coach's South Pacific story, no one has explicitly stated that the family alliance is a cult until now. And they're right. Coach is using religion to manipulate others. Again, not at all what the Bible tells us to do. Back at camp, Coach vilifies Jim, which makes him look like the cult leader he was just described as, since the music is very ominous and mysterious whenever he talks. Coach then says, me? The leader? No, definitely not. The next day, Cochran says he is full on drinking the Coach Kool-Aid, the cult of personality, so that he is good with the cult leader, aka the father of the family. Coach again pretends he is not in charge, when telling Cochran he will do everything in his power to ensure that Cochran makes it further than 7th place, which is what Cochran's worried about right now. We then see Ozzy easily beat Keith and Jim on redemption, which is followed by both Jim and Keith saying in their final words how they are rooting for Ozzy to win it all, and they see Coach as the cult leader. Heck, in this secret scene, we see 2 remaining Savai members become a couple of coconut bandits in retaliation to Coach.
How should we ration the coconuts? Do we have some sort of system?
I think if we have 2 a day, each of us.
So there's been a little bit of a coconut issue in the last few days, and it's been tough to find good coconuts. And so today, Coach goes, we need to ration these coconuts, and everybody should get 2 coconuts a day. And it's just like, yes, Father? No, you don't tell me what to do.
I don't care, I'm not gonna have someone else
dictate how many freaking coconuts I eat. Screw them.
Is this horrible? I seriously need to hide some of these, and I'm so not kidding.
We actually hid these coconuts because we decided to take control. I don't listen to people. They don't tell me what to do. They may send me to Redemption Island, but they ain't telling me how many coconuts I can have.
Seeing them doing that is like seeing a child rebel against their parents, but in like a small way. We then go to the immunity challenge where Jeff promises a twist at Tribal Council. But since this season is almost a 1-for-1 copy format from the last one, we already know that the twist is a double vote off, so I won't waste your all's time with it. We see Albert want Edna out of this game to curry favor with the remaining Savai members, and Brandon snitches this to Coach. Coach says, okay, it's time to use fear to lead these people then. Anyone goes against the mob boss and they're dead. Finally, Finally, he admits to being the leader. Now, he does this in confessional, not to anyone's face, but still, I'm glad he said it. Before witnessing the double vote off, let's catch up on what the current jury members think about Coach.
I'd be shocked to see Coach or Cochran come here. Coach has control of the game, Cochran has control of third place.
It's not anyone's game right now. It's Coach's game right now. If somebody wants to make it their game, they gotta make a move.
Interesting. It sounds like if Ozzy doesn't get to the end, it will be Coach who will win. We then see Dawn voted off, and Sophie wins immunity, and Whitney is voted off next. All of Savai'i is gone, minus Cochran, of course. Cochran then explains how this tribe is like a cult family.
There has kind of always been this cult-like quality to the Apolu family. Just hearing the word family over and over, you can't help but think of Charles Manson and the Manson family, and the family that committed so many heinous murders. I don't want to be Sharon Tate in this scenario, and I need some sort of plan, or else I'm going to be exterminated. I'm going to be given the poison Kool-Aid and meet my untimely death. And I'm hoping reminding my tribe mates of the risks I took will convince a few of them to vote my way.
That ominous music gets me every time. The storytellers are leaning hard into letting you know this alliance is the enemy and Ozzy is our hero, because oh yeah, over on Redemption, every time we see Ozzy, it's like the most heroic music ever. He's like getting this amazing edit that just lets you know he's the golden child. He is the survivor. Cochran then pitches to Apollo to keep him over Edna, and why not just keep them both? I think Coach can beat them both easily at the end. Vote off Albert, Rick, or Sophie instead. Brandon, Cochran, and Edna will stay loyal to Coach, in my opinion. We then see Ozzy beat Dawn and Whitney easily in the Redemption Island duel, so once they are out,
I think Cochran will go next, unless he works some kind of magic in the next. And I think, as of right now, I think Coach will win, unless somebody steps up and has the balls to take him out.
I hope Ozzy goes to the end.
I do too.
Wins $1 million.
I think he can do it. I think he's got legs for it.
You know what? I want to make them feel as bad as possible.
They ran their little gauntlet of us, and now they have to pick apart their so-called super strong 7.
wow, Coach apparently is the favorite to win it all right now, which is great, of course. Besides Ozzy, I mean, if Ozzy gets the end, he wins. There's no question about that. We then see Albert be super lazy, and apparently this is par for the course for him, except this story has barely cared about Albert, so we're just now learning this ourselves. Coach then does Coach Chi again with Cochran, and hey, Cochran feels good. He hates Savai'i and loves Coach. Why not keep him till the end? That's what I want to know. Albert then wins immunity and reward, but gives up his reward to Coach and Cochran. Nice. While on said reward, Coach then says something I have to question big time.
This is just amazingly rejuvenating to have this kind of treatment out here on day 30. Man, I couldn't ask for anything better than that. Well, actually, I could ask for Cochran's life to be saved tonight. I will fight for my man Cochran with my last dying breath. Of that, you can be assured, my young warrior.
Who else saw that and thought, wow, Coach is lying again? Because Coach is lying again. Big time. He has no plans to save Cochran. We see this perfectly exemplified when Cochran asks Coach to save him, and Coach will not commit to anything, even if Cochran can get the numbers. Now remember, Coach just said he will work to save Cochran until his last dying breath. Amazing, brilliant, no notes. We then see Edna mad because she just now realized that she is next after Cochran. Like, Edna, come on now, are you for real? Brandon told you this back in episode 4. You already knew where you were in the pecking order. It doesn't matter though, as Edna is mad at all of Apollo. At Tribal Council, Brandon says, let's stop beating around the bush. We need to stop being gray about who we're gonna vote off. Cochran is gone tonight and Edna is next. Saying anything else right now is being gray, and if you're being gray, then you are just lying. True, so true. Coach lives in the gray. So they all vote, and
13th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Cochran. Cochran. The tribe has spoken.
Jeez.
Just take the steps.
Yeah.
A mistake in my opinion. The show doesn't paint it as one, but I think Coach beats Cochran at the end of the game. Episode 13 sees Edna cry and pout and say, well, I guess I am not part of this tribe since they're voting me off next. Again, she has known about this since episode 4. This feels like it kind of should be on her, but more importantly, when you tell people over and over again that they're a family and then vote them off, this is what Coach gets. He set himself up for this. She talks to Coach about this and he tries to be logical, but No man, this is on you, dude. Edna doesn't care about logic, she cares that she's being voted out of the family alliance. Ozzy then beats Cochran on redemption, and we hear from Cochran on Ponderosa how he views the jury as bitter, and they will be voting emotionally. Interesting. Ozzy then gets to pick who gets a loved ones visit, because yes, this is the episode for the loved ones visit, and he picks Albert, Brandon, and Coach. Nice. This time, Coach's loved one is not his assistant coach. Very disappointing. It's his brother. A bit unfortunate, but okay. On redemption, he makes sure to go hard on promoting the phone this episode is pushing from Sprint, and wow, check out that 3D action, as he says. Pro tip, dear viewer, if you get on Survivor and want to guarantee yourself screen time, suck up to the sponsors like Coach does. Coach knows what he's doing. Coach then talks to Ozzy and
I'm not gonna BS you, man. I'm always gonna be straight with you, right? And I want you to be straight with me, and I want you to keep this conversation confidential.
Of course.
Okay? As soon as you get back from redemption, it'll be at either 6 or 5. I've got a perfect final 3 scenario. You, me, one other person. I'm giving you my word, dude, as a Christian man. You'll notice in this game, I'll say, hey, it would be great to take you to the final 3. When I say as a Christian man, I promise you that this is what I'm going to do. That's an irrevocable promise. I want to take Ozzy to the end. 2 noble warriors fighting it out to see who the sole survivor is.
Me too.
You and me in the final 2, man.
Let's do it.
I cannot wait.
there is no way Coach is being legit, right? I'm conflicted though. I know Coach is not really a Christian, or at least his actions do not reflect this. Like if he is, there's nothing here on my screen showing me that he really is. That's all I'm saying. But I think Coach thinks he is. So is a promise from a Christian man a real promise if it's from Coach, or is it just another scummy game move that he's not admitting to? I have no idea. I'm conflicted. Like really, I don't know. Brandon's dad, aka Russell Hance's brother, then tries to bully Coach into keeping Brandon to the end. Coach hates this and just says yes to appease him and escapes the conversation. He says the Hances, they're a bunch of bullies. We then see Coach win immunity, and Edna says if we're really about honor and integrity, they aren't, Edna, get with the program. But still, Edna says if they're really about honor and integrity, then Brandon should be voted off for how he treats others, because occasionally Brandon just goes off the handle. Coach says you are right, but he can't get the numbers for anyone else to go out of this game. Untrue. We then go to Tribal, where Coach drones on again and again about honor, integrity, and loyalty, and the jury just looks baffled and tired of the nonsense. So they all vote, and
14th person voted out. Ed, that's 4, that's enough. Need to bring me your torch. Edna, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 14, and that 5-person family alliance did it. They're now the final 5. Again though, I think Coach screwed up. He should have taken Edna and Cochran to the end. Albert says, I'm not worried about going to the end with Coach because he has been seen as the cult leader and I can easily beat him come the end. We then see Ozzy beat Edna on redemption, and
I'm probably rooting more for Ozzy than the majority of the Upolu remaining tribe member. And with the exception of Coach, despite last night's tribal council, I still feel he has the most integrity in the tribe.
Cochran is the only person not rooting for Ozzy so far that's on the jury. Sophie then talks to Coach and says, we have to send Brandon to face Ozzy. If we let him and Ozzy be in the final 5 together, then we have like no chance of winning immunity and controlling our own destiny. Albert then talks to Coach and says, we have to vote out Sophie. If she gets to the final 3, she can talk her way into a win. Coach blows this off, but Albert is right. Sophie hasn't burned any bridges and she is very smart. So Albert and Coach then talk about voting off Brandon, and
Brandon will win. Because when it gets down to the end, okay, are you good?
Good. A little bit nervous. What's the conversation?
Well, come on, man. Don't sound like Russell. We just told you what the conversation was. We're talking about jury votes. No, I'm just saying, don't tell me if we say one thing. I don't want you to come in here and try to bully us, man. Like, seriously, you've turned into a bully. We were just talking about jury votes and how the jury thinks. And then you say that that's not what we're thinking about. Don't play like that, man.
That definitely hurt my feelings what you just said, bro.
Well, I know. I was just telling you the truth, man, because
I don't feel like I've acted like Russell the last couple of days.
The apple never falls far from the tree. And meeting a father was double confirmation of what I need to do for my next move.
Cheer up, brother.
I'm good, man. I can't eat any more coconut.
You sure?
Thanks.
Cheer up, man. God's got everything under control.
the way Coach gaslit Brandon and then played victim is amazing. The worst or best part, depending on your point of view, is that Coach is being sincere. Brandon has done nothing wrong, but Coach still sees himself as the victim. Brandon then wins immunity, thanks Jesus, because I need to add, by the way, Brandon is the only one in this alliance actually trying to be a Christian, whereas everyone else, except maybe Rick, because I don't really know anything about Rick, maybe Rick is too, I cannot speak on Rick, but Albert, Sophie, and Coach are definitely not trying. Brandon thinks the final three is him, Albert, and Coach. He says, Coach, I want to give Albert my immunity necklace because I know you're never going to vote me off. We're final three buds. Coach goes, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't say that. I will do whatever God tells me to do. It's so gross how Coach is supposedly letting God direct his strategic decisions when we know that is not the case for him. We even get the ominous dark music again throughout this entire scene. So at Tribal Council, Brandon immediately gives Albert the necklace, which has Coach stroke his beard. And it's like Brandon learned nothing from Eric doing the same thing, I think at the same point in Micronesia. Brandon then goes on to tell an honest, heart-wrenching tale of how he used to be in a gang and he would be the only loyal one to take a bullet for anyone, and the other members would just wuss out in almost every circumstance and leave him hanging. Jeff says, could that be happening again tonight? Wow, the comparisons here are brutal. Albert says, I'm not giving Brandon the necklace back because he says Brandon is not going to be voted off. So they all vote, and
first vote, Brandon. Sophie. Brandon. We're tied. 2 votes Brandon, 2 votes Sophie, 1 vote left. 15th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Brandon. Brandon, tribe has spoken.
Finale time. It is Coach versus Albert versus Sophie versus Rick versus Brandon versus the only one the show wants you really to be rooting for, Ozzy. Back at camp, Coach is so mad at Albert for pretending he didn't know Brandon was going home and acting holier than thou. Is this the kettle calling the pot black? Is Coach really this unaware? We then see Ozzy eliminate Brandon on redemption to return back in the game, and no one, and I mean no one, is happy about this. But as Brandon leaves, we see
it was really sad just to see him laying there by himself, knowing that he spent 24 hours a day on that island by himself and for 15 days. There's no way in the world he doesn't deserve to be there. Coach, he did betray me. He gave me his word he would never stab me in my back, and I gave him my word. I kept my word. He didn't keep his. Me and Coach were supposed to be boys. Everybody knows that. I don't want to harp on the negative, but everybody's seen what happened.
The coach is the one that flipped on you, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be me and him till the end. And then boom, he stabbed me in my back, and I saw him. He rubbed Sophie's foot like this, and that's when I knew. He rubbed Sophie's foot on my son. Judas!
Ozzy's a huge threat because even around Ponderosa, it's apparent that the Savai tribe is still, big supporters of Ozzy. I personally am not quite as big a supporter of Ozzy.
I know for the Savai group, we're hoping that we walk in and see Ozzy with the immunity necklace on.
even Brandon is rooting for Ozzy. Wow. Coach cannot let Ozzy touch the final three no matter what. I mean, Coach's perfect final three, again, would have been Cochran and Edna in my mind, yet here we are. Keep in mind that Coach still has the idol, and the next vote is the last time he can use it. Coach talks to Ozzy and says, if I win immunity, I will use my idol to save you. Yeah, right. Ozzy doesn't buy this, and neither do I. Ozzy then wins immunity. Amazing. And Coach gets so mad about this, which is, of course, nonsensical. Why would Coach be mad about this? He just said he's going to play his idol to save Ozzy, but Ozzy won immunity, so Coach can just play his idol for himself. I thought Coach was going to save Ozzy. Now he doesn't have to do that. Oh, thank you, Ozzy. That's what Coach should be saying, but we all know what Coach really thinking because he's lying out of his butt. Albert and Ozzy want to get out Sophie, and Coach says no. Rick has to go. Really, Rick? Who the heck is Rick? Coach then tries to trick Rick by saying, I am on your side, but Sophie is not.
I was talking to Coach. He said, I think Sophie threw you under the bus. And he was kept trying to walk off. Coach is pretty good about skirting the truth. You got to really pay attention to his words because he's like an attorney. He'll tell you something, but he won't come out and commit to anything. I'm thinking maybe Sophie. What are you thinking? My main loyalty lies to you, so.
No, dude, trust me, man.
So what are you thinking on your vote, though?
I'd vote for Sophie.
Well said, Rick. Coach skirts the truth constantly by not directly answering questions or misdirecting by talking about something else. Ozzy then tells Albert how Coach promised him Final 3, so Albert asks Coach about this, and Coach skirts the truth and misdirects by saying, I cannot wait to vote off Ozzy. At Tribal Council, Ozzy tells everyone about Coach's Final 3 deal with him, and Coach pretends to not care, but he does. Coach cares a lot, so they all vote, and
First vote, Rick. Sophie. Rick. Sophie. We're tied. 16th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific. Rick.
Go have a seat. Oh, Rick, come on. Have a seat, man. Okay, it's all right. Go have a seat.
Rick, Travis spoken.
Oh, he gave me some big, full story about, because he tapped me on the shoulder when they voted. He said, sorry. And I just looked at him and thought, yeah, all the honesty, integrity, all this stuff, yeah. So he stands up and looks at me, and I just said, sit down. He goes, oh, don't be that way. I got to go console Sophie. It's like, sit down. Don't be pissing down my back and telling me it's raining.
Right now, Ozzy's got everything. There it is, because Ozzy didn't stick one in me. Coach and Sophie and Albert stuck one in me bad.
I'm 110% rooting for Ozzy at this point.
I'm pulling for Ozzy, without a doubt.
There's not one of those Apollo members that I'd actually like to give that money to. I would do it. I would end up having to vote for, the person I feel like deserves it the most. But right now, I feel like none of them deserve it.
Personally, I said a small prayer for Ozzy today. I hope he won that immunity idol today.
I sure hope Ozzy wins it. I surely do.
This is huge tonight. It's going to be awesome. Quarter time. Ozzy has a necklace around his neck, and we are going to flip. We are going to just be excited. Woo!
And now Rick is rooting for Ozzy. Amazing, brilliant, as the British would say. The next day sees Coach so mad that Ozzy is still in the game, and when he talks to Ozzy, he says, I don't like that you told everyone about our Final 3 deal. Then be honest, Coach, be honest. Ozzy says, let's have Albert and Sophie face off in a fire tonight after one of us wins immunity. And Coach says, I love this idea. That's a great idea. Sure you do, buddy. Sure you do. Then the unthinkable happens. Sophie beats Ozzy for final immunity. Wow. So, back at camp,
I relinquish once and for all the title of Dragon Slayer, and you are the Dragon Slayer.
New Slayer is born!
Sophie, you certainly are, because in this game, from moment one, Ozzy was the dragon, and you friggin' slayed him.
What? I thought Coach wanted to go to the end with Ozzy. He promised him as a Christian man he wanted him there. Yet, here we are. All Coach does is lie. It's like all game. All he does is lie all the time. He's loyal, but he lies. Ozzy tells Coach if he really wants to be honorable, then he will let Ozzy face Albert in a fire-making competition. But you and I both know Coach is not honorable or honest. He's somewhat loyal, but it's all circumstantial even in that case. So they all go to vote, and
pride comes before the fall, my man. Hope you learned a lesson in humility.
Because I am the new Dragon Slayer.
17th person voted out of Survivor South Pacific and the 9th and final member of our jury. Ozzy, need to bring me a torch.
Third time's the charm, baby.
Ozzy, Travis spoken.
Frankly, the jury hates all the remaining players in the game. I don't necessarily hate them as strongly as my fellow jurors do, but the fact that there's so much hate, so much bitterness means that this is going to be a really explosive final tribal council.
I have heard every single story from, I've got this debt, I've got this orchestra. I've heard every single sob story. Everybody has a sob story.
I actually have the feeling of resenting that Ozzy's not in the final 3. I really believed in my heart that there was kind of a destiny. I felt like everything was falling into place yesterday. Seeing that immunity necklace today, it almost made me lose my breath for a few minutes and try to figure out what's this mean, because it wasn't what I planned ever.
yeah, I don't know. The way everything was being built up seemed like that was the only satisfying result, was Ozzy winning, and it didn't happen. So now who wins? Back at camp, Coach says voting off Ozzy was a no-brainer. Okay, now that was honest. He then recaps how in Tocantins and on Heroes vs. Villains, it was the birth and death of the Dragon Slayer, and now he wants the win. It's actually a nice moment to see him reflect back on those seasons, but then again, I think this secret scene is funnier to show you.
That husk is no good. It's not the spark silk, it's the husk.
I think Albert's been able to hide really well. He's pretty awful at fire. It's like I'm doing exactly right. Like, he kept saying, oh, I would do it, but you know, Sophie wants to be the hero. Sophie wants to be the hero.
I figured your last day of Survivor, man, day 96 of your career.
Whatever, dude. You were the one that was saying, I can make a fire. I want to see you make it, man.
I was going to. She wants to do it. It's okay. I don't mind.
You're saying it like you could start it in a second.
I would like to. I don't want to take it away.
If you could get driftwood with urgency, that'd be good, Albert.
Albert, do you know how to get driftwood?
I just driftwood.
You know where it is?
No.
It's down at the beach. I can run. We have fire!
All thanks to Albert.
Albert was the man this morning. He was incredible. Really appreciated all of his help.
It is time for the final three, and I think for the first time in the first 23 seasons of Survivor, I am wholly unsure where most of the jury stands. Obviously, they were rooting for Ozzy, but that got busted. Early on at Ponderosa, we saw Jim and Whitney both say Coach has this in the bag, but that was literally weeks ago for them. Is it still true? Cochran, in my mind, is the only locked vote for Coach because he's been the only one not rooting for Ozzy to win it all. We have 9 jurors, so Coach will need 4 or 5 of them, depending on the split, to win. So he starts Final Tribal with...
I just gotta say, wow, I mean, I really can't believe I'm up here. When you look at the beginning of this game, Redemption Island is built for somebody like Ozzy, because, he's great in challenges and, Coach is a bit of a character. I had an uphill battle coming into this game, and the first time I played this game, I played with arrogance and self-righteousness, and I tried to do something different this game, and that is I tried to lead with compassion, love, appreciation, and respect, and I don't think a lot of leaders do that. The best thing about this journey is that instead of fitting everybody to my journey and my plans, I just looked at everybody that was around me. And you know what? When you open up yourself to others, you receive it tenfold, and I'm truly blessed to have gotten a piece of each and every one of you through this game. Thank you.
Not bad. He was correct that he had an uphill battle and that he tried to play differently. Ozzy is the first juror to speak, and he says, hey, this jury is up in the air. No one is a front runner right now. Coach, I'm gonna need you to be honest about how you play this game because it was never honorable. Now, Coach is honest when he says, I was conflicted constantly. But Coach is clearly not self-aware enough to recognize that he, himself, got himself into those spots and therefore was lying to himself all along. Either way, Coach lacks confidence in his gameplay and looks a lot like Boston Rob Circle All-Stars here. Not a good look, by the way. We then see Jim talk to Albert, which is not important, so we move on to Dawn, who talks to Sophie, and...
Before I came to this game, I said, I wish I was a man because men in this game seem to be able to get 2 young girls to follow them to the end, and that's something I can't do. And when I met Coach, I saw him as the equivalent of a young girl. He was someone who said to me, my loyalty is worth more than $1 million. I want to come out of this game restoring who I am. That's a guy who's not going to write my name down.
Wow, holy crap. Sophie is ruthless. Coach took that one on the chin, though I am not sure he really could say anything in response to turn around the girl comment. I think you just got to kind of move on from that one. We then see Rick talk to Coach, and he says Coach's honor was a load of crap. Yes, it was. Coach apologizes and keeps it short, and that's it. Rick seems like the kind of guy, though, where you'd want to keep your answer short. He's not big on talking, which may be part of why he rips into Albert, who does talk a ton, and they never got along, and says the way you lied to Brandon about that necklace when you took it off his neck and then voted him off was despicable. Speaking of Brandon, Coach compliments him, strokes his ego, and Brandon forgives him. Hey, Brandon might be voting for Coach now. However, Brandon rips Albert a new one as well for the necklace thing. Holy cow, Albert cannot catch a break. Whitney is next and she says Albert is sleazy. Again, Albert cannot catch a break. And Coach, you used Christianity to manipulate and cause fear in others. It was disgusting. True, Whitney, very true. Edna then comes up and states that, hey, we all volunteered to play this game about lying and manipulation. And as it turns out, she is impressed Coach used religion to do this. So I guess Edna is a vote for Coach. We then see Keith come up and ask Coach
about the individual immunity idol. You did not play it at all. Were you going to use that immunity idol individually or for the team?
Sure. I did think it was a tribe idol. The one time that I would have played it was at the 6-6 Merge Tribal Council, and I didn't play it because I didn't need to play it.
Can I just clear something up about the idol too? The idol was actually not found the way that Upolo thought it was found. Albert found the clue with the help of Coach and I distracting the team. Coach then found the idol, and we originally thought we would keep it for the three of us. And then it got to the point Brandon was hunting anything for an idol that wasn't there anymore. And so we staged a discovery of the idol.
Holy crap, if Coach had won back Brandon's vote earlier, it's gone now. Sophie timed that reveal perfectly. It means nothing to the Savai tribe. I mean, they weren't even there, but it means everything to Brandon. Cochran then compliments the cult Coach formed and says, hey, even I was into the cult of your personality. Though you did say the word honor so many times that it now means nothing to me. Now that is all 9 jurors. What if all 9 of them split their votes evenly between the 3 finalists so we got a 3-3-3 tie? How would Survivor break that tie? Anyways, I think Coach lacked confidence in this final tribal, and it's not helping him. It's not how you're gonna win. So at the live reunion, Jeff reads the votes.
Unfortunately, Ozzy is not up for the $1 million. First vote. Coach. Sophie.
Whoa.
Coach. Sophie, we're tied. Coach. Sophie. Sophie. The winner of Survivor South Pacific, Sophie.
So let's break this down. How was Coach as a character? What happened to the fun-loving goofball Coach that I used to know? Somebody that you used to know. Only 2 years after Heroes vs. Villains, and Coach has his act together, which is fine, but all the fun went away with it. I loved Coach his first 2 times playing because he was so sincere with his ridiculousness, and here we get the watered-down, mature Coach that is it's also running a cult, so it's like kind of gross. It's not nearly as appealing as the last 2 times. This Coach was just disappointing, especially with his religious manipulation and not apologizing for it whatsoever. It makes me feel gross to watch, and I hope that if Coach ever does come back to play, he goes back to like how he was in Tocantins and Heroes vs. Villains. Like, get rid of the religion. Like, it's not real, Coach. It's not real with you. Out of 47 character moments shown on the show, 8 were heroic and 39 were villainous, making Coach a villain character on Survivor South Pacific. Now, how is Coach as a strategist? He kind of took the Boston Rob Circle All-Stars approach, where he made it very clear who was and was not with him, which angered those who had no chance in the game, but the ones who were with him felt burned because 7 people can't make the final 3, obviously, but he made them feel like they were in a family, and voting off family members is a lot more personal than just another person in the game. And instead of owning his game, which is what Ozzy wanted, Coach just apologizes for this instead. I'm not sure a better final tribal nets him the win. Maybe he gets Ozzy's vote and loses 5-4 instead. Though to be clear, I am unsure why most of Savai picked Sophie over him considering what we heard in the Ponderosa videos. But I think there is one way Coach could basically play the same game here and still win. All he had to do, again, was convince Ozzy at Final Tribal by owning his game, and this is gonna be a big one. Earlier in the game, he needed to not lie to Brandon about the idol find and just be honest and pitch it as, hey Brandon, this is for us, dude. I think that could have been enough to win 5-4 over Sophie. Coach was that close, and yet, so far. Out of 70 strategic moments shown on the show, 42 were smart and 28 were dumb, making Coach a smart strategist on Survivor South Pacific. Thanks for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. I'll see you all next time.